Okay, students, so we're going to learn the last algebraic method of solving systems of equations, and that's the elimination method. So we would use the elimination method when the substitution method is not easily done by the equations we're given. Sometimes it's not easy to do substitution. Sometimes makes it very difficult to isolate for y and do a substitution. So elimination is helpful in those instances. And we can't always rely on graphs because sometimes our x and y values are decimals or fractions. And graphs are really difficult in reading what those decimals and fractions are. Whatever you would come up with, most likely it's just going to be close or an estimate. So if we want accurate answers, we're going to have to do it more algebraically. So elimination method is another way of getting the accurate answers. So let's talk about how to do it. First, you need to identify the variable easiest to eliminate. And that will always be the variable that has same coefficients in both equations but with opposite signs. If you don't have variables with coefficients that are the same but opposite signs, you might have to do a little math to make it that way. So I do have an example, example 2, that will show you how to do that. So once you identify the easiest variable to eliminate, then you're going to add your two equations together. Because if you think about it, having opposite signs of the same number eliminates. They undo each other, just like in any equation. So if we're adding those together, they will equal 0. They eliminate one another, which is where this method's name comes from. After you've done that, you're going to solve for whatever letter or variable is left. And once we find out what that letter equals, just like in this substitution method, we're going to put it back into one of our equations and find the missing or second variable. So let's take a look at one of our examples here. Example 1, we have a 2x minus 5y equals 16. We have a negative 2x plus 3y equals negative 6. So this one's quite obvious that we have x's with same coefficients but opposite signs. So this is a pretty easy elimination. So to eliminate, we're going to add these two equations together. We're going to get those like terms added up together. So we have our 2x and we're adding a negative 2x. Well, those are opposites, so they're going to cancel or equal 0. Then we have the minus 5y plus that positive or plus 3y. Well, a negative 5 plus 3 is a negative 2. So we're going to have negative 2y. And we have to add the answers to the two equations. So 16 plus a negative 6. That gives us 10. So our equation ends up being 0 minus 2y equals 10. So we're going to simplify that. So we get a negative 2y equals 10. So now we can just solve for y by undoing the multiplying by 2, by negative 2. So divide both sides by negative 2, and we get y equals negative 5. So now we have one of our variables. We need to find the other, the x. So we're going to pick one of our equations and plug and chug the y value for the equation to solve for the variable x. So we're going to use the 2x minus 5y equals 16. So if we substitute negative 5 in for y, we would have 2x minus 5 times negative 5 equals 16. So that simplifies to 2x plus 25. Remember, minus 5 times a negative 5 is a positive 25. And of course, that still equals the 16. Next step, get rid of the 25. Subtract 25 to both sides, we get 2x equals negative 9. And finally, divide by 2. So x would equal a negative 4.5 or 4.5. So the solution for this system is a negative 4.5, comma, negative 5. Let's look at example 2 that's a little more complex. So as you can see, this system does not have an obvious variable to eliminate. There are no variables that have the same coefficients with opposite signs. They're all different. But we have to have the same coefficient with opposite signs in order to do this elimination method. So we have two options. That bottom equation, negative 2x plus 4y equals 16, we could multiply that entire equation by 3 so that our x becomes a negative 6x. And you can see we can easily eliminate the negative 6x with 6. Or we can multiply the entire equation by 2. And when we do that, we change our 4y to a positive 8y. And the negative 8y from the first equation will eliminate with that positive 8y. So really, we got two options, and it really doesn't matter which one we do, so let's just pick one. Let's multiply the bottom equation by 3. Okay? So when you are multiplying by a number to get two coefficients that are the same but opposite signs, you need to make sure that you multiply every part in the equation by 3. So not only am I multiplying 3 times negative 2, I need to multiply 3 times plus 4, or the positive 4. And I need to multiply the 3 to the answer, 16. So after I multiply my 3 to everything there, I get a negative 16x, or excuse me, a negative 6x plus 12y equals 48. So now we have two equations that have a coefficient with the same, or a variable with the same coefficient but opposite signs. So now it's all but adding them together and finding y. So negative 6 plus 6 is 0. Positive 12y plus a negative 8y is a positive 4y. And 48 plus 12 is 60. So if we simplify that, we end up with 4y equals 60. So to solve for y, divide both sides by 4, and we get y is 15. So we got the y. Let's find the x. So pick one of the equations and plug and chug it. So I'm going to choose 6x minus 8y equals 12. So I'm going to substitute the y, and I get 6x minus 8 times 15 equals 12. Well, got to do the times first. So 8 times 15 is 120. So it's going to be 6x minus 120 equals 12. Subtract add. That is subtract 120. So we want to add to undo it. Add it to both sides, and we get 6x equals 132. And lastly, divide by 6, and we get x is 22. So our solution here is x first, 22, comma, 15. So now it's your time to try. You're going to be doing IXL, the 8th grade lessons, and you're looking at lesson AA.10. Now it's extremely important that you use scrap paper to work these out through. You can easily reach your goal of 90 if you take your time and use your scratch paper. You can get this done if you answer your first 10 questions correct. So take your time so that you're not going back and forth with your score. Use that scratch paper to help you. All right? Good luck.